Hey everyone, Nick here from Whole Latte Love. I've got Zach joining me.
Hello again. It's been a minute. It's good to be back.
Hello again to them or to me. I'm not sure. Have we been on a stream before?
You know, I don't know if we have. We're joining forces finally. If this is the first time, you guys are in for a treat.
That's right. Well,
We're
either way, you're definitely in for a treat because we've got some really cool machines with us today. So if you haven't seen on our website, we have launched the all-new Bezzera Luche heat exchanger espresso machine. And more importantly, if you haven't seen, you should check out our video review that we just released on that too. Really an incredible espresso machine, but as I was learning about the Luche and taking a look at where it would fall within our catalog, I thought to myself, it's probably a good idea that we sort of take a look at all of Bezzera's current lineup of heat exchanger PID espresso machines with E61 brew groups, because there are a few of them now, and I think it's worth taking a look at what each one can do.
For sure. And like Bezzera's been around for a while. They're not like as well known as some of our other brands, but I love the quality of their machines. They're just not as well known for some reason, so we're here to like talk them up a bit. Yeah, I love the quality of their brand, and I'm excited to play with these machines a little bit because they're really excellent.
That's right, and so I'm going to touch on that actually, but before I get started, just a few things. If you're tuning in, thank you so much. We are live every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we respond to your comments live. We've got our chat down there, so if you ever see me looking down there, it's because I'm taking a look to see if you've got some smart questions for me to answer. But if you're new to the channel though, if you want, leave us a like or subscribe. We've got a lot of really great coffee content coming your way. Like I said, that review of the Bezzera Luche that we just dropped, and a whole latte more, as Mark may say. He is on vacation, so I feel like I can get away with that one today.
Yeah, Mark and Todd did a great job like going over the machine. Like Todd obviously knows this machine and all the other machines like very well from an internal perspective too. So definitely worth checking that out for a really detailed look at the Luche specifically. Yeah.
Perfect. And Ron, actually, we've got a little window in a window that's covering up the chat just a little bit. It's a little hard for me to read. If you want to just move that, and then we'll get started. But yeah, so I mean, Bezzera, as you said, they have been making espresso machines since 1901. So if you see the dial 1901 on the machines here,
yep,
that is no joke. They actually debuted their machine in the original Milan World's Fair back in 1901, and they also have the patent for the very first espresso machine as well. So perfect. And Ron, as soon as we're done with that, I'll have you go to the iPhone because I kind of want to show something off. All right, so pull that World's Fair back up for just a minute for me. All right, and then go ahead to the iPhone here. But you can see, really, Bezzera has been working to kind of update their overall presentation.
Turn
and brand like,
sideways first, Nick. That way. There we go.
There we go. You can see it. Yeah. So that font is not just coincidentally the same. So Ron, let's go back to wide. Basically, these machines represent a new kind of modernization of Bezzera's kind of look. Their logo has been updated. The Biscione snake-eating man heraldry that they have on the machines has also received an update. So that started with the Aria, it was continued with the Sole, and it's also here now as well with the Bezzera Luche. So actually it looks like we've got a couple of things here. Hey, just here to gain some knowledge from Viral Flow Art. Of course, I can dispense some knowledge, no problem for you. Does that work with my Folgers soluble, or do I have to buy some fancy coffee? So Gabriel, I would say you would probably have that water gushing straight through that coffee because espresso is brewed, obviously, high temperature, high pressure. You put that into the portafilter and it's going to go straight through. So at least slightly fancy, I would say.
Yeah, there's a middle ground there. Yeah.
And then from Marshall Goldberg, I've owned a Bezzera Duo MN 5 years now. The quality is so fantastic. The chrome, the stainless, the wood, it's really beautifully constructed. So I will say, when it comes to just the overall housing and the panel quality, I found that the luster and the overall just elegance of the Bezzera paneling is my favorite. I think that it's the most brilliant. And we have a lot of different wood options today. We have Bezzera's own rosewood, which we've got here on the Aria, but then we've also got a whole latte love. This is a walnut accenting here on the Luche. So let's just get started. Let's actually show off what the Luche can do here. So Ron, let's get back up here. So the Luche is an update to Bezzera's original Magica PID espresso machine that we carry now. So it is going. So if you want to grab a great deal on a great machine, the Magica PID is being phased out. It's being replaced by the Luche, so I'd get them while you can. But in terms of what's new on the Luche here, we have an updated PID. This is in white now versus the original red with a built-in shot timer. So basically raise the lever and the timer starts. Updated positioning on our steam and pressure gauges here. So the new Italian flag design as well. In the box, you're going to be getting a lot of really nice accessories, including a branded tamper. So there's a logo right on there. Comes in a beautiful drawstring bag. 10 and 20 gram single and double shot baskets. And then really one of the coolest updates to the Luche versus the Magica is the inclusion of an adjustable OPV that we have right underneath the cup tray here. And Zach, I feel like you're ready to jump in.
Yeah, nothing against like the accessories that come with some of our other brands' machines, but the tamper specifically with the Bezzera machines is very nice, heavy quality. You know, that's one of the first things that we suggest on to upgrade on some other machines. But out of the box, the tamper that the Bezzera's come with specifically is great. And a lot of their machines coming stock with the rosewood, just looking that much more. It is just like an elegant look to everything. Just coming stock with that rosewood is a really nice touch for them to add on.
I agree. So let's start with the Luche though. So
yeah,
obviously this is a heat exchanger espresso machine. And I feel like heat exchangers, they fall into an interesting sort of category because really, the person who wants a heat exchanger is definitely going to be somebody who drinks a lot of milk drinks.
Yeah.
Obviously, having that on-demand steam is super important for the quality, the texture of the milk, which we'll get into just when we talk a little bit about how these guys perform steam-wise. But, you know, heat exchangers have gotten a lot smarter, too. So
sure.
I've worked at Whole Latte Love for, gosh, 15 years now. And I can remember a time when heat exchanger espresso machines did not use PIDs, and cooling flushes were much more necessary, and the thermosiphons weren't regulated quite as well. And we found in our own testing with the Luche, after Mark had let it sit for, I think, a 30-minute heat-up period just to let everything get nice and cook in there, I think it was just one basic flush, and then he basically was able to pull back-to-back shots over and over and over again, all within less than a 2-degree variance from 200 degrees.
Which is really good for a heat exchanger machine. Like usually that kind of accuracy we would definitely expect out of a dual boiler machine, but some like previous you know, generations of heat exchangers not quite that accurate. But that's pretty darn close for the heat exchanger technology.
Yeah. So Ron, pull up our info card that we've got on the Luche and I think the Magica. That would be just a good place to start here. But so obviously a couple of updates on this machine versus the original one, the updated PID as I mentioned, and the new positioning of the different gauges. You've got beautiful though tray there with the polished grid, single piece black powder coated cup railing that you've got now, so that is kind of more of that new visual identity. New switches as well, so I'm seeing the push button switches are kind of becoming popular on a lot of machines, like ECM and Profitec have started using them, Bezzera has them too, so it is just a new nice push switch that clicks in, stainless on there, feels really good, and really high quality accessories like you said. So the Luche though is, in my opinion, like the perfect machine for somebody who wants to entertain a lot, they want to make a lot of milk drinks, and maybe they just can't plumb in, because that water reservoir is 4 liters, which is the largest water reservoir that we have on any of our just countertop, you know, non-commercial heat exchanger. Well, even our dual boilers
right,
don't come close to that. And then you've got a very large 2-liter horizontal copper boiler,
which is huge compared to a lot of heat exchanger machines. Yeah, great. And then with the boiler material also being pretty unique and like a nice key feature of Bezzera machines as well.
Yes. But let's go over workflow real quick here. So I'm going to move out of the way, and we're going to pull a shot just here on the Luche. So I've got a Eureka Atom W65 here on the side, and I'm going to be using a full suite of Bezzera accessories as well. So first, this is their new needle distribution tool, and there we go. Keep that in frame for you. But basically, you got the logo on top, adjustable depth on these needles, so you can use them essentially to prep your coffee. And really, I would say the utility of this is going to come down to the quality of your grinder. So the Atom W65 that we have here, quite good when it comes to particle size and distribution. So ultimately, that's going to be doing a good job with a fairly clump-free grind. But if you have a more entry-level grinder that has more clumping, something like that will really help you just to get those grinds properly distributed, break up those clumps so that you're good to go. And then just a nice tamp. And we'll lock in, and let's actually just froth. And I love heat exchangers because it's just such a simple process where really you can brew and steam simultaneously, and that's going to guarantee the overall quality of your milk. So we did a video just recently talking a little bit about whether you should brew first or steam first on a single boiler espresso machine. James Peterson, I see you down there. You're a little late today, but I'm glad to have you. Whether you should brew first or steam first on a single boiler espresso machine, and we pretty much unanimously said you should really brew first, because if you're going to go to the trouble of heating up your boiler, you're going to want to make sure that your milk is at its best quality. So let's go on ahead and get that tared out here. And I'm just going to show you what this baby can do.
So yeah, like Nick mentioned, like getting your milk and your shot to be ready at the same time, as close together as possible. It really is ideal, especially if you're getting into making latte art and things like that. And just for the quality of your drink in general, having them completed as close together as possible is really helpful and almost necessary in some situations. So,
and basically, you're absolutely right, Zach, because we want our milk and we want our crema to both be. Yeah, so it's a little too full there with this cup.
Pretty good for a small cup, though.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to try again in a bigger cup. I think I may have overshot it just a little bit on the milk there, but really in just about, let's say, between the grinder and then pulling my shot and steaming, that was under 2 minutes just to prep the whole drink from start to finish, right? And that is sort of the beauty of the heat exchanger. I am going to give this a little sip. But that milk blends so well, too, when you have that texture. But yeah, the Luche, like I was saying, though, and this is true for all the machines up here, is unique as far as heat exchangers go, because Bezzera actually does something a little differently when it comes to their heat exchanger and their PID design. So let's actually see, Ron, can you get tight on the Aria here? I feel like that might be a little easier for you just in the center. We'll take a look at the PID, and Zach can help me out there just a bit.
Okay.
So the PID, as you can see, is displaying 199 degrees. So that's actually not the temperature inside the boiler. The boiler is much hotter, obviously. This is a heat exchanger espresso machine. But the way that Bezzera's PIDs are designed on their heat exchangers is that you actually program them based on your desired brewing temperature, right? And so by doing that, you can actually get your coffee dialed in much more easily. Because when you think about it, for the most part, people don't really think about a temperature when it comes to their steam. And Ron, you can come back to wide for us. You don't really think so much about the temperature of your steam, right? It's really more about feel. It's about how does the pressure actually work for you when it comes to working your milk, right? Like you're generally not thinking about how hot do I really need to go for my steam. And I think that personally, when it comes to the design of PIDs on heat exchangers, that's like probably the coolest thing about Bezzera, because for other brands, you are going to see the actual temperature inside the boiler. And as a result, you need to use a conversion chart that basically has you go in and see, okay, if I set it to 252, I'm at 198, so I need to kind of go and play with that.
Which is usually listed right in the machine's manual, but it is an extra step if you're, extra step to do when you're figuring it out. You'll get used to it eventually, but having it just right at the temperature that you're really operationally looking for is just a little convenience features like that just go a long way, really.
I would say so. And the thing I also want to talk a little bit about too, though, is if we can get close on one of our pressure gauges here. So actually, Ron, are you able to get back to our Luche here? And maybe I can, there you go. So right up here, if you see, our steam pressure is actually only idling around 1.2, 1.3. And on other machines that we've had, that we've used, and we've talked a little bit about steam pressure, we have managed to get them, north of 1.5 for really fast steaming performance. In our testing, we found on the Luche in particular, we were able to do the SCA standard milk frothing test. So 5 ounces of milk straight from the fridge, steamed to 140 degrees. That took us only 16 seconds.
And that's
right.
crazy, yeah. Especially when, at a glance, you would think that you're not getting as good steam performance because it's only showing, around 1.2, 1.3 as compared to other machines. But with those copper boilers in there, the steam performance on any Bezzera machine, even I've noticed on their smaller machine, like the Hobby, gives excellent steam performance compared to other machines.
The Hobby explodes. You open that steam wand, and it's like a rocket taking
it's surprising.
off, basically.
Oh, yeah.
But, I recall, and so obviously Marcus played a little bit of the footage from our trip to the Bezzera factory back in 2018. And I was lucky enough to be with him. I was in the background. I appear maybe in like a little bit of B-roll if you can find me. You get a little gold star. But I remember our conversations with Luca Bezzera, and he was really proud of the manufacturing, first of all, but also of the fact that Bezzera uses copper. It's their preferred material for their boilers, and I think the steaming performance really speaks for itself, just relative to how Bezzera's machines really are able to produce just incredible milk roll and texture, even if from a glance, just from looking at the pressure, for instance, you might think that the steam would be a little bit weaker. And I think a large part of that is owing to the copper as well. I mean, also too, on our Luche and then our Sole as well, these are heat exchangers, but these are horizontally mounted heat exchangers as well, meaning that the boilers, and I may even grab another one at some point, are laying on their sides, so you do have a larger surface area for the steam to build on the top, versus our Aria here, which has a vertical boiler. And so obviously though, if you have a vertical boiler in a machine, generally speaking, you're most likely, if it's a heat exchanger, going to be a more compact machine like this, because obviously you turn the boiler on its side and then you have more room to
and
condense the house.
For myself, like that's one of the first things I look at a machine because I have very limited counter space where I'm at. So seeing like a machine, especially that can give like great steam performance and just look great, but still be a relatively small package, it, like immediately catches my eye. Especially unique to the Aria, like being that rotary pump, like a small, sharp-looking machine that can be plumbed in and it has that really nice, quiet rotary pump. Like very, very appealing to me. Again, like working with limited counter space, but still having like supreme steam performance from a relatively small machine is really like great change of pace compared to some other machines.
Yeah, and so I'll tell you what, Zach, if you want to froth up some milk there on the Aria, I think that would be a good place to start, because the Aria, similar to the Luche, actually has really impressive steam power as well, but where they tend to differ just a little bit is going to be ultimately in that recovery time. I find the Luche was able to recover in just about 10 seconds to its maximum steam pressure. The Aria takes a little bit longer to climb as a result of the fact that the boiler is a bit smaller, and when you're brewing and steaming simultaneously, and you're cooling things down and you're releasing that steam, it does take a little bit longer. So that's going to get us into maybe one of our first comparisons between the two, because first of all, our Luche is not a vibration or a rotary pump machine, meaning you cannot plumb it in. So the Aria can be plumbed in. It has a nice rotary pump as well. I'll tell you what, let's just go in with the you could use.
There we go. I think we'll be all right.
We tear it out here for a minute.
Yep. Yeah, let's grab our mini scale.
I'm just not seeing a weight on there, so I just want to make sure.
All right.
I did turn the beeps off. I feel like, I can
okay. That's why you got me tripped up with that. All right, sounds good.
Hold on. Yeah, there
we
Perfect.
go. All right, cool. Now, I'm usually, brewing a little bit shorter drinks, and also usually steaming with a non-dairy milk. So if my my latte art performance is not as impressive as Nick's, I'm giving you an excuse beforehand. Now my shot is running a little bit fast. I'm kind of multitasking here, so I'm going to mess with our flow control a little bit and slow that down as I'm brewing. Looks like we're a little bit over our shot time. I got my milk, a little extra there. Got my milk done very quickly that time as well. So let's see.
And so when dialing in on these machines too, I'll talk just a little bit about how it's different on, let's say, the Aria versus the Luche. But first, let's just take a look at that latte art performance here.
Okay. No promises, like I said.
No promises, no pressure, I suppose.
Ooh, my shot ran a little bit tall too.
You going for the tulip?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Not the worst I've done. We're not winning any awards with this one, but
just like mine, maybe some room for improvement.
It's there at least.
The stream is young, but when it comes to dialing in, obviously we want to try to get things as close as possible. But one thing to note is, obviously the Aria is a rotary pump machine, so that means a few things. So first of all, the Aria that we carry at Whole Latte Love comes stock with flow control installed, and it comes with a plumbable rotary pump as well. So the rotary pump, though, also benefits you in the sense that you have the ability to brew with a higher flow rate, because on the Bezzera vibration pump machines, our stock flow rate is about 6.5 grams per second. And what I mean by that is if there was not a flow control device on it, when we measured, stock flow rate is 6.5 grams. Now, on the rotary pump machines, it's closer to about 12 and some change. So you're looking at almost double the stock flow rate, right? So that's where the flow control is really useful, because you can really curb that back, and you can get yourself that lower flow for the pre-infusion. So that's partly due to the engineering of the machine, but it's also the pump type, right? So basically, though, if we were trying to dial in for all three of these, we are going to pull a little differently on our Luche versus our Aria and our Sole.
Right, yeah. And real quick, we've got a couple comments popped in here. Viral Flow Art says, yes, it's beautiful. Thank you. Charlotte says, it's intentionally art, though I'd say it's good. Appreciate it, guys. I own an Aria, and it's very capable, compact, distant horizon. Yes, absolutely. Again, for like a smaller machine, especially at the price that it's offered at, absolutely love this machine.
See, the really cool thing about the Aria, and I remember when we first saw it, was Bezzera's whole goal was essentially to take a rotary pump heat exchanger machine and put it in the same housing as the BZ10, right? So Bezzera does have a kind of standard housing that's used on a lot of the machines. So like the Unica, the BZ10, the BZ13, all have the same style of body panel in how they mount. And so the Aria was an incredible feat of engineering, because they were able to maintain that same very compact profile and ultimately put a lot of features in it. But the one thing I do want to say, just in terms of features, is that Bezzera is a little bit of a kind of back to basics approach just when it comes to the PIDs. So when it comes to PID programming, essentially you press minus, and that lets you get into your brewing temperature. And then if you press minus twice, you can change your units of measurement. But that's it in terms of these styles of machine. If you wanted more sophisticated programming, that's when you'd really want to look at something like the Bezzera Duo or Matrix machines, where you have a lot more programming that you can do just in terms of some of those features. So let's see. Are there any videos on how to descale a dual boiler Bezzera Duo, and is it something the user can do? I have the Duo plumbed in with a BWT Best Max filter, and it's been almost 2 years, no problem. Yeah, so you're doing it right, Kushi, because ultimately you do want to have, if you're plumbing in your machine, an inline water filter is the best way to do it, and especially with a dual boiler, because what can happen is when you start the descaling process, the steam boiler is not full of just steam. You obviously have water at the bottom, you have steam on the top, and if you have that descaling solution in there and it's concentrated in the bottom of the boiler, you're gonna have a really hard time actually getting all of that back out of the machine. And that's typically why we would not recommend attempting to descale a dual boiler. You would want to have that done professionally and have it serviced professionally. So using treated water is really the best way to preserve your investment when it comes to that kind of machine. So I do not believe that we have a video on that topic.
Right.
And then I own an Arya. I would have purchased a dual boiler, but it would have been too heavy to carry to my 4th floor apartment. So it's funny that you say that, Distant Horizon, because originally, I know if you saw, I was slated to host with John, and one of the comments he made to me was he said, is the Aria really heavier than the Luche? And I said, yes, it is. And it's partly because it has that rotary pump in there, and it's just a much more dense machine, right? So this paneling hides a lot of stuff packed right in there. So the Aria is very, very dense, very, very, I don't know, I mean, Yeah, it's not heavy. I've lifted plenty of machines, so it's not like.
Oh, me and you have no problem carrying something.
I'll
But
carry
you
machines
know.
up and downstairs all day. But,
Yeah, I'll carry it to the
know,
5th floor.
Definitely, yes. Carrying a dual boiler upstairs would probably be a
Not
feat.
fun. Yeah, I think
Yes.
our shipping weight on the Duo and Matrix is 82 or 92 pounds or something.
They come on a
It's,
micro pallet, so.
yes.
But-
Fair compromise on that one, Distant Horizon.
So the Aria, though, you do benefit from really stable brew temperatures. You have that flow control stock out of the box. So it is still a really great option when it comes to being able to play with coffees. The big difference, I would say, between the Aria and the Luche is you have a smaller boiler by about half a liter. Well, it is by half a liter. And then you also have a smaller reservoir. But in my opinion, if you're considering any of these three machines, right, the Aria is the one. I would definitely plumb the Aria, okay? Because that Aria with the rotary pump is going to get you the benefit of obviously having a very compact machine that fits really well in your space. But then the convenience of plumbing is going to give you the ability to really make it a feature where it's kind of unobtrusive, right?
Right.
And I think something like the Sole, for example, the Sole would be a machine that I would pick if you were looking to plumb eventually, but maybe you really wanted that capacity to start. So we'll move over to the Sole now, and I'll kind of let you take it away, Zach, because you had the Sole with you at home actually for quite a long time.
So this Sole just very, very recently came back from a vacation on my coffee bar at home. So obviously a little bit bigger than the other two machines. Still has the same 2-liter boiler as the Luche over there. Does come with that rotary pump though, so the machine can be plumbed in. Also, like pretty unique feature to the Sole is just on the feet here on the construction, just like this very like retro future design. I think this was the first machine that we had seen come in the new colors with like the green paneling, if I remember correctly.
That's right. So the original wave of Bezzera colors that we had were obviously the polished, but then we had a red, a white, and a black. And the Sole carried on into this new theme of, you know, kind of a new style, right? That was started by the Aria, but then ultimately now we have the green as well as white and black and polished.
White,
so
black.
the same green that we have on our Luche, you can also get for the Sole. I mean, we've got 3 of the 4 colors available here. You know, it is a little taller than our Luche as well. You do need a little bit more clearance when you're going to plumb in because you can put the plumb fittings underneath. And yeah, overall though, so if you want to come back to me, Ron, for just a minute, basically, as I mentioned, the Luche replaces the Bezzera Magica, but the Magica used to have a counterpart, which was called the Mitica, and actually, it may still be in production, but it's not a machine that we've carried, but the Mitica had a rotary pump and a different paneling style, and so you sort of had Magica Mitica become Luche Sole, but we obviously got the Sole first, and then we got the Magica second, so it does remind me a little bit also of, say, like ECM had their Technica and Mechanica, right? And so the cool thing is the Sole is a very fashion-forward machine, but I do feel like on the Luche, especially with the ability to customize colors, even though the design is a little bit more understated, you still have a lot of that really nice flair just with things like the cup railings, and then you have the Italian flag, obviously, gauges on everything. I love that Bezzera also puts that on their pressure gauge for the flow control. It's just very seamless, like everything's nice and connected there. So just a really great kind of update to the overall brand language.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the Mechanica. So for something like the Bezzera Sole, if you were in the market or kind of exploring machines in the price range and feature set of the Mechanica Max, for example, or the Profitec Ride even maybe, the Bezzera is definitely a machine to look at kind of in that same price range, in that same realm of machine. Very similar to the ECM Mechanica Max, that it can be plumbed in, very like high capacity heat exchanger machine. So definitely, again, if you haven't heard or like explored Bezzera machines too much, but you're looking at something kind of in that range, definitely take a second look. I'd either the Sole or something like the Luche.
Well, you said you were pulling lots of cortados on your Sole at home. Let's see if you can redeem yourself for
you're gonna make me
frothing again there.
You're gonna make me prove it in the small cup. Okay.
Well,
All right.
I feel, you know, we each had a practice round, and so the next time, this one's going to be much more serious for us.
All right. Fair enough.
And actually, so Ron, if you can make a poll, what we'll do is we'll have the audience vote. So that that way our egos will truly take a hit one way or the other.
Hopefully this shot pulls a little bit better time.
So, James Peterson, what do you think about the ECM Synchronica 2? Is it any good? So, I would say the ECM Synchronica 2 is an incredible machine.
Yeah.
Really, it takes everything about the original ECM Synchronica and it just ups the ante. So, probably the most impressive thing, honestly, is the fact that it now uses a cartridge, an electric cartridge heater in the brew group. So, the idea there is the E61 group obviously has been around for a very long time, but there's been a lot of room, I'd say, for innovation in the design, right? So flow control, I think, is a great example of something like that. Well, behind the discharge in the back of the machine, obviously, in the back of the E61, ECM was able to put a cartridge heater in there. So you've reduced the heat up time now to just about 6.5 minutes because you're electrically heating the group on heat up. The boilers heat up, and then you maintain that temperature using the thermosiphon. Right. Really quiet rotary pump too. Look at that, that's pulling beautifully.
Looks like our shot's pulling decent this time, okay. And now we talked about steaming our 5 ounces of milk to the SCA standard of 140 in
10 seconds.
In about 10 seconds earlier.
Oh, did that get switched to ounces on
you? It is, but we got our decent shot here. So again, I'm using a cortado. I guess this is probably technically more a cappuccino cup if we want to get really into the weeds about it. So I'm doing a very small amount of milk here, again, even compared to that 5 ounces. So I'm going to be done with this pretty quickly.
Yeah. And so too, if any of you have a Varia scale at home and you ever wind up accidentally switching into ounces, just tap that tare button twice and that toggles between grams and ounces. But James, I would just say the ECM Synchronica is certainly an incredible machine. Rotary pump, dual boiler, full temperature control over both boilers, great steam power, really stable brew temperatures. You can plumb, you can not plumb, incredibly rapid heat up time. So yeah, Synchronica 2 gets a gold star in my book.
Absolutely.
And how do you guys, hi guys, how do you rate the Bezzera Magica SPID? So Steve, the Magica, and I mentioned that at the start of the stream, is sort of the precursor to our Luche that we have here. It's an incredible value as far as a heat exchanger espresso machine goes. So same 2-liter copper boiler, heat exchanger, brew and steam at the same time, massive 4-liter water reservoir. It's just a very kind of no-frills, solid machine. And so if you're looking for a really great value and you're also looking to make a lot of milk drinks, you want to entertain a lot, you want to refill the machine less, I would say that the Magica is really, really good. Again, where the Luche levels things up a bit is now you have a shot timer with the PID, you have that accessible OPV, which I think we're probably going to take a closer look at in an upcoming video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But it just kind of modernizes things just a little bit. You have a higher quality tamper, a higher quality set of accessories that come with the machine. So ultimately, I'd say that the Luche is a nice level up. It's a more fashion-forward machine, has a little bit more functionality. If you can snag a Magica before they're gone, I would certainly do it. So it looks like Viral Flow art there is definitely in your corner here, Zach, but we'll see what I'm capable of next.
Okay.
Alexander Dinabier says, I prefer the Matrix DE version. Faster heat up time, more thermal stability, and programmable volumetric brewing. Yes, so the Matrix DE, that's a non-E61 version of the Bezzera Matrix espresso machine. So Bezzera has their BZ group, and they also have E61 groups on their machines as well. BZ groups are electrically heated, so they have it's essentially kind of like if the Synchronica 2 just had just a full heating element with no thermosiphon. So there's a PID in the group that maintains a consistent temperature, and then the boilers heat separately, and there is volumetric programming, kind of like the BZ13 DE. So if you've been watching, eyeing those two, they are back in stock now here at Latte Labs.
We have hope maybe the last of them. So if you're looking for the BZ13, like grab it while you can. We just got them in, I think, Wednesday or Thursday this week. So small number of them for anyone who has been asking about them. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I got like a decent drink. I did a little burn my milk a little bit there because like I said we're doing a pretty small amount. I think what we'll do is like we'll both do our 2 drinks and we'll
Of course, no,
group
of course,
together.
of course. Oh yeah.
See what our conglomerate scores
We'll do a little
are.
Super Bowl overlay. We'll draw,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
how they do. But I'll froth on the Aria this time. But
Yeah.
just to talk a little bit about this. So the Aria, if you've seen our review, has incredible steam power as well. But the recovery on this machine is going to be a little bit slower than our Luche and our Sole. So the Luche and the Sole, like I was saying, that's going to be about 10 seconds for you to be able to get back up to your full steam pressure. And that's even while brewing and steaming at the same time. Now, the Aria, because the boiler is smaller, will experience a more significant drop once you've reached, that 15, 20 second threshold
Yeah.
of brewing and steaming, where essentially the pressure does begin to get lower. Now, depending on how much milk you're frothing, that may not really be a problem at all.
Say that's probably all the time you need in most cases anyway. Yeah, and 1.5 liters is smaller than the Luche and Sole boilers, but for a heat exchanger, those are pretty large capacities. So 1.5 liter boiler for a heat exchanger is still very decent size.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the standard fare. I mean, the Stone Light that we just reviewed in our last live stream, also 1.5 liter boiler, and the steam portion of the heat exchanger is 0.8 liters. So it's definitely kind of a similar idea there, right? So 1.5 is nothing to shake a stick at. But
are you gonna do enter the large cup division
I'm
this
entering
time?
the large cup division. Okay. And sometimes it can take a sec to tear just when you've got a little bit more crowding on the scale here, but there we go at 0. Cool. And do a little brewing steam.
Aria scales are a little bit too accurate sometimes. Very, very receptive and sensitive. I can. So I'm gonna give Nick the benefit and.
Yeah, I mean
Work the
that
flow
got about
control
as
a little
hot
bit
as I
here.
wanted in just about 15, 16 seconds. So right on pace with that Luche Sole result that we have. And I may have needed to aerate just a little bit more here, but we'll go in. But see, take a look.
Okay. Final strike. Okay. All right.
I think it needs a little work, my definition could definitely be better, but I mean, the point is, if you're practicing latte art too, and you really want to get into it, having a machine that can steam on demand is incredibly useful. So you mentioned the Bezzera hobby, Zach, and I actually had a hobby at home for a long time. My dad owns a Bezzera hobby as well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I'm very used to steaming on it, and I've helped him cater many a brunch with the hobby. But, the point is, being able to steam on demand is so much more useful because that cycle of heating and cooling, obviously, on a single boiler can really take you out of the game if you're trying to crank out a lot of drinks very fast, right?
Yeah.
So.
And if you're making 1 or 2 milk drinks in a morning, it's fine. But honestly, 2 or even slightly more, any more than that, drinks on a daily basis, you really want to try to do what you can to get into a heat exchanger machine instead of a smaller single boiler like that. Because just the convenience and the time that you save on that, it makes all the difference with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
What I would say. Ooh, interesting poll. I was going to say it's me versus Zach, but Ron's been very diplomatic, so there are no losers in today's competition.
So yeah, maybe we can do a quick overhead shot.
What I would say
get a
though,
last
too,
minute poll in there.
So like looking at the Sole, right? If you really want to make a lot of back-to-back milk drinks, or you can't plum right away, but you're looking to plum in the future, that's definitely the machine for you. If you're looking to get a really rock-solid machine, you need to save space, and you're definitely going to plum, and you want some good control over brewing, that's where I would really consider the Aria first and foremost, especially with that flow control coming stock on the machine and the really compact design. And then really, if you're not able to plum right, ever, or maybe you just don't want to, the Luche really threads the needle incredibly well. Now the flow control is optional; it does not come stock, but the value on this machine at $1,800 is incredible, and we have 4 colors and 6 unique woods that you can purchase on the machine. So this is walnut, like I said, but we also have Bezzera's own rosewood, zebra wood, wenge, tiger maple, and sapele.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of woods.
Yeah. Mix and match with the different wood and panel options. Like can make them fit really well in any home. So I guess just like last thing that I know we kind of touched on other machines that these are similar to, but aside from like the Mechanica Max that we mentioned, like what other machines, like for people who are shopping for other machines, might they want to check on one of these as well?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, if you're looking at the Aria, obviously the Sole is one to consider. Mechanica Max, like you said, I would say something maybe like one of the Evo R espresso machines from Rocket Espresso, although the price range is getting a little bit higher there. Maybe something like the Profitec Ride, because you are keeping the price point fairly. Who's Nick and Zach? So I'm Nick.
Here, why don't you grab your
there's Zach.
grab your drinks real quick. So.
Okay.
So for while we're in our final stretch here, Ron, give us a nice overhead shot if you can.
Give us the overhead, Ron.
So
there we go.
I am Zach. I got these 2, which will be on your right. Nick has got these 2 on your left. Just let us know real quick on our poll who you think got this one. I think I'm the right answer. Yeah, I think I might be out of this one,
but we'll see. Profitec Ride, I think, would be another good option too. You can't plumb, but you do have good temperature control, and also you have the ability to brew and steam simultaneously. Great pressure from the dual boiler, or maybe even the Profitec Move, but then you are moving away from that E61, so you aren't going to have the option for flow control.
Right.
So to me, really, like the Profitec Ride would be another really good option. If you're looking at something like our Luche here, that's where I would say probably contemporaries would be something like the Profitec Pro 500. For sure, one of the V-style machines from Rocket, like the Mozzafiato or the Giotto. Maybe a Profitec Pro 400, though you are moving away from the traditional PID and you're moving into that multi-position switch. So that's something to think about. The Bezzera BZ13 too, but you are losing flow control as a potential option when you go from E61 to the BZ style group, but you do get that DE kind of fast heat up, and then you have the programmable volumetric as well. So you kind of gain a little, you lose a little. So it really does come down to your preference, honestly. But I mean, all really incredible machines from an incredible and historic company. So, thank you, Charlotte. I see you're helping us out.
If you can grab me the needle tool as well. This was something that recently came to us from Bezzera as well. I know there's a lot of talk and discussion about gadgets and distributors and WDT tools and things like that. This has been an awesome addition. When we first got these in, we were kind of blown away by how nice these are and how sweet they are. It's kind of hard to display this with the color and everything on screen, but the action of this spinning is just so.
It's incredibly
smooth. It's smooth and satisfying. Has an adjustable depth to it and everything. Kind of doubles almost as both a WDT.
Yeah, let's show that off real quick. Yeah.
Doubles as a WDT and a distributor in a way.
So there's a textured ring right here. You just grab that and then you twist on the outside, and then it comes loose, and then you can actually adjust the needles, right?
Yeah.
And you can have them go further down in your portafilter, or you can bring them back.
So if you do want to grab a bottomless portafilter, maybe with one of those 26-gram Big Bang baskets, and need to adjust your needles to be reaching the bottom of your puck there.
I like that Ron cuts to me right as I'm just standing here with it spinning.
It's satisfying. It's
very
so nice.
Satisfying.
Yeah.
But Bezzera also, you grab the base. They included a nice solid metal base that comes with this too. And there's actually a series of brushes in there. So you can actually self-clean the tool as well. So you want to show that back off, Ron. Basically, just set this into the brushes, give it a nice spin.
Yeah.
And that's going to help clean those off for the next time.
Heavy duty, super satisfying. Match the whole setup with your Bezzera pitcher and your machine and everything.
The pitcher's incredible,
excellent.
and the tamping mat is a nice tamping mat. It has the logo on it, which I like the best about it.
Exactly.
But all really fun, really cool stuff.
So if you guys have any last questions or comments, or want to make fun of my latte art or anything like that, throw it in there while we start getting wrapped up here. I guess we'll see who pulled through on our latte. Ooh,
it's only 7 votes though, so it was a tight race.
Okay, fair enough. I think Nick did deserve that one though.
Cool.
Next time.
Well,
a good one.
all right. Well, I think with that then we'll probably be wrapping up for today. So for those of you tuning in, thank you so much. If you haven't seen it, the Bezzera Luche is now available at wholelattelove.com. If it hasn't dropped in Canada, it will be by this afternoon.
Hopefully
so
soon.
If you're watching from the Great White North, keep your eyes peeled because that's coming. And then read my review on the Bezzera Luche and all of these machines because I think it's pretty cool. And we've got some great photography by our in-house photographer, Grace. So
speaking of Grace and cool photography, also check out some of our latest blog posts, like the coffee and cycling one with the rocket machines and stuff like that. We've had a ton of cool, just like features, and a lot of people chiming in on different topics on the blog post on the website. Check those because those are pretty fun.
yeah, you had a really nice sentiment on coffee and cycling on that last piece.
I love riding my bike to coffee shops. What can I say? 2 more comments here real quick. Andrew says, I'm sad to say this, but Rare Zach, the letdown for the latte. I'm sorry.
Don't underestimate me, Andrew. That's what I would say.
I'll do better next time.
Ephraim, can any of these machines be used in a commercial setting? So Ephraim, none of these machines are NSF certified, so I would not suggest using them in a commercial setting. The Bezzera BZ13 that we do carry is an NSF certified machine. It is tank fed though, so you would have to refill the water tank. But if you're putting it in a lower volume environment, where coffee's maybe not the main item, but something that you make occasionally, like an ice cream shop or like a, just like a stand of some kind. Yeah. That's certainly one that I'd recommend, but these are not commercially rated.
And we have a couple other options as well from other brands too. If you want to give me a call and talk about it, call us up or get on the chats, ask for ZR. I'll talk to you, and we'll get something figured out if you're looking for something for a commercial
Now you just hooked
usage.
up that new dessert bar down in the city with a machine.
Yeah, Cecil's on Park Ave for anyone in Rochester. We just helped out with the machine, and we work with some of the other local businesses as often as they will allow us to. And we're happy to help out with our business friends. So,
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, Ephraim, give us a call. Give me a call. We'll chat with you and get something figured out. For everyone else, I really appreciate you coming to hang out with us.
Perfect. Hey, thank you all so much for joining us, and make sure to tune in next time. Have a great weekend, everyone.
See ya.